And we are live. Hey, everybody. It's Maria here. It's Friday. So I hope that you guys have all been having a fantastic week. Whether or not maybe your weekend has already started or you're just kind of easing out of your week on this Friday morning here, depending on where in the world you are. Well, hey, I just thought I would check in again for another spontaneous live stream here, a Q&A about English. So I had so much fun last time, and it was so great to meet so many of you. So I thought I would just go ahead and check in again. So last time you guys asked some great questions. So I am here. I am available to you guys to answer any of your most burning business English questions that you might have. Maybe you have a big meeting that you're preparing for. Maybe you need some tips with emails today, presentation stuff, or any just other totally random English questions. Whatever it is, just put it in the chat and I'll answer. Hey, everybody. So happy to see you guys. Hey, welcome, welcome. Hello, Germany. I used to live in Germany. I used to live in Munich. I love the country, the people, the language, the food. Yeah, it has a very special place in my heart. Cool. Jan, so welcome. All right, guys. Well, why don't we go ahead and just to get the ball rolling, do you guys know that idiom? Super, super common in business English. To get the ball rolling means to begin, to start something. So just to get the ball rolling today, I'm going to start with some really good questions, some frequently asked questions that I get quite a bit. So we'll just get started with that. And then I'll wait for you guys to put any questions that you might have in the chat here. If you're following me on Instagram, you may have seen a post that I did just the other day. It was to give you guys some more advanced English expressions that you can use at work, really to start taking your business English to the next level. So it was about more advanced, sophisticated ways to express yourself in meetings, in emails, better ways to say, I think. So better ways to say, I think. We all know the phrase, I think, when we want to share an opinion about something. But let's talk about some more advanced ways to express that. So first of all, I'll ask you guys, what do you think are some better, more, I wouldn't say better, but maybe just some more advanced native speaker ways to say, I think, to express an opinion? What would you say? What would you say? I'll start with a more formal option. As far as I'm concerned. As far as I'm concerned. So you can use that at the beginning of sentence when you want to talk about something that you, an opinion that you have. You know, as far as I'm concerned, I don't think that we'll be able to hit Monday's deadline, for example. In my opinion, I don't think we'll be able to hit the deadline. As far as I'm concerned, we won't be able to hit the deadline. Yep. Yeah. Any other ideas? Yeah, to me, I guess. Yeah, I guess. You can say, I guess, if it's something that you're not really sure about. Yep, that's a good one. If you're not really sure, you could say, well, I guess that might be the case. Yep. Here's another one from a more formal situation. Instead of saying, I think, you can say, in my point of view, or maybe from, you could say from my point of view, in my point of view, both work, but I'm going to say from. Yep. From my point of view, from my point of view, we are not going to hit Monday's deadline. From my point of view, I think. That's what I think. Yep. Another here. I think I already said this one, but I'm going to put it in the chat for you anyway. In my opinion. In my opinion. Yep. Good one. So these are all a little more formal expressions, but I'll give you some informal ones too. So for example, if you're talking to, your team, close members of your team, or if you're talking to people at work that you have a pretty good relationship with already, you can say something like this. You could say, I'd say that. I'd say that. If someone would ask me, Maria, what do you think? Well, I'd say that, and then finish the sentence with your opinion. Yep. Ah, yes. In my book. Yeah, in my book. In my book isn't exactly, that's a great expression. It doesn't exactly mean I think. In my book means more kind of the way that I do things. You know, we usually use that with the word not in my book. I'll put that here in the chat. Not in my book. And that's kind of a very strong expression. That's when you want to say that something is not how you do things. It's not what you think is right. Hey, not in my book. You know, maybe, for example, if you go to a restaurant in the US, and maybe you want to leave a big tip, for example, just thinking out loud here, you want to leave a big tip and the person that you're with doesn't really want to leave a big tip, you could just say, hey, not in my book. I tip well. I tip well. When you're eating with me, we're going to tip well. Yeah, those small tips, not in my book. Yep. Yep. To be honest, yeah, that's another one. Yep. Sometimes we say that before we maybe want to give an opinion that's maybe a little controversial, or maybe if we want to give an opinion that people might think is a little hard to hear, you could start with to be honest and then say what you think. Yep. I would say, yep, that's another. I'd say that. I'd is the contraction of I would. Yep. So I'd is just a little more conversational, but it's the contraction for I would. Mhm. I'll do one more here, and then I'm going to take a look in the chat and see. I think some questions have come in from you guys. So let's just do one more. This is very informal. If you ask me, if you ask me, another thing that we say when we want to give our opinion. Yep. And it's very informal. Again, only really to be used if you're talking to people that you have close working relationships in a very informal situation. Well, if you ask me, I don't think we're going to meet Monday's deadline. Yep. Cool. Okay, guys. All right. Here is a good question. I just started a new job in a new country. How can I introduce myself in business? Yeah, that's a great one. And we started to talk a little bit about this in our last live session a couple weeks ago, but I'm glad that you asked again. I always like to do a 3-step model here. So start with something about the present, then mention something about the past, and then end with something about the future. So we do present, past, future. So the present is who you are and what you do right now. So I could say something like, I'm Maria. I've always spent my whole career in marketing. So I usually like to use the marketing examples. You could say, I'd say, I'm Maria. I'm part of the marketing team, or I'm a new member of the marketing team. And I'll be looking after, and then talk about your key responsibility. Talk about the primary responsibility that you have at your job. So that's the present, who you are and what you do today. Then just briefly mention something about the past, your past experience. Again, don't go through your whole life story. Don't talk about, your whole career history. Don't give a summary of your resume, of your CV. Just do maybe 1 or 2 sentences that's relevant. So you could just say something like, I have 10 years of experience in the industry. In my last position, I was working for, XYZ company. Just 2 sentences about your past that's relevant to the conversation, but just keep it brief, just a couple sentences. So we have our present, we have our past, and now we have to say something about the future. So you want to say a sentence that ends your introduction on a positive note. So you want to be positive. You want to say something like, I'm happy to be here. It's a pleasure to be here with you all. I look forward to working with you. Or I look forward to working with you on this project. I think it'll be a great opportunity for us. Yep. So present, past, future. And if you go to our last live Q&A, there's a replay on my channel. If you go to the replay, you'll see that I put that script. I answered that question in full in the comments. So, and I think in the description of that video too. So I actually typed everything out for you there. So feel free to take a look at that. I think that'll be helpful for you. Excellent question. Good one. All right. Let's see. Li Yuan from Taiwan. Hello. I know you were with us last time. What to say in a good friend's or family funeral to be cordial and polite? Oh, that's an interesting question. We have an expression in English that we use at funerals, or when you hear that somebody has experienced a death in their family or the death of a close friend, we say, "My condolences." My condolences. That's a phrase that we use, and it's very polite. You can say it to somebody that you don't know very well, or it's kind of the standard expression that we use in that situation. So that's what I would say to that. Yep. Okay. Other questions, you guys? What else? What else? Let's see. I am just scrolling through here. I'm going to go to another frequently asked question that I get quite a bit, that comes up a lot in business English. It's the difference between a customer and a client. A lot of people get those words mixed up. They are confusing. The difference between a customer and a client. Does anybody know what it is? I'll come back to your question in just a second about no offense or no hard feelings. Let's get to this one first. The difference between a customer and a client. So the word customer is a little more general. So a customer, we use that word when we're talking about just somebody who buys something, somebody who makes a purchase at a store. They buy a product. A client is a little more specific. A client is somebody who purchases something a little more specific. They're purchasing advice. They're purchasing specialized expertise, advice. Clients are usually people who are purchasing things like legal advice. So if I hire a lawyer, I'm going to be a client. I'm going to be that lawyer's client. Or maybe if I hire an accountant, I'm a client of that accountant. I'm purchasing special expertise. And usually a client relationship, it's usually longer term. Not always, but it's usually kind of implies a longer relationship. A customer can be seen as maybe a little more transactional. So I just, walk into a store, I make a purchase, I leave. I don't build a relationship with that business necessarily. It's kind of more of a quick thing, whereas a client relationship is a little deeper and a little longer. Yeah, so a little pop quiz here. Let's say I want to buy a home. I want to buy a house where I live. And I need some advice. I really need some help understanding the market. I need somebody to help me in this process. So I go to a real estate company. Am I a customer, or would you call me a client? What do you think? Put your answers here in the chat. Yeah, customers are more general. Yes, exactly. Yeah, very, very good. I don't see any answers coming in yet. What do you guys think? Real estate, customer or client? All right, well, I'll give you the answer. That is yes, Danielle. Yes, exactly. Very good. Client. Yeah, and the reason why is because real estate can be seen as specialized advice. A real estate agent has special expertise about what's happening in the market and can guide people through the process. He or she is probably showing the person lots of different homes. So there's a longer term relationship there. So we'd use the word client. Yes, excellent. Cool. Okay. Let's see. There was the question here about saying no offense or no hard feelings. Can we say those words before saying something harsh? Yes, you can. Yes. But just know that if you say no offense, sometimes that actually does offend people, because it's so obvious that you're trying to not offend them. So, with those words, we hear those words and we automatically know that someone is saying something that isn't nice. So, if I were you, I think good communication skills, if I were you, I would avoid those. I wouldn't use them. I would just say what you want to say in a more gentler way. Yep. So that's my opinion. That's my advice. Hello, we have people from London, Morocco. Yes. Okay, excellent. What other questions? I'm looking here through the chat. All right, I'm going to go to another very common one. Somebody asked me for different ways to say, or different ways to express the word important. A lot of times when you're using English, you're learning English, you're still trying to build your vocabulary. Sometimes, you have a tendency to use the same words over and over and over. And the word important is a pretty frequently used word, right? Especially at work. So let's talk about some other words we can use instead of important. So what do you guys think? Do you have any suggestions? What else can we say? Aha, yes, crucial, significant, critical. Wow, yeah, excellent, excellent. Yes, 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 yes. I have another one. I really love this word. How many of you guys know this one that I just put in the chat? Vital. Vital. Yeah, that's a good one. So, a vital piece of the plan is, instead of an important piece of the plan, or it's vital that we do, instead of it's important that we do this, it's vital. That means it is really, really important. Or how about this one? Oops. Significant. Significant. Yes, that's another one too. So that's when we're talking about something that is really important, in and of itself. Something is significant. Yep, it's a primary piece of something. It's significant. And my favorite, super great business English word here, key. How many of you guys know this one? Key. If something is key, exactly. Yes, it means it's of importance. So you might hear the phrase in business a lot, for example, key takeaways. Key takeaways. That means kind of the most important points about something. So you may hear somebody say, for example, "Hey, can you fill me in on the key points or the key takeaways from the meeting? I couldn't attend the meeting. What were the key takeaways?" That means what were the most important points? What were the most important things that I missed? The key takeaways. I'm going to put that in the chat because I think that is a great one. Yeah. Is it okay to say of great importance in speaking or just writing? Both. Both. You can absolutely say of great importance. That's great spoken English and written English. Yes, for sure. Okay. Can you please talk a little bit about presentations in English? Now, that is a very broad question, a great question. But what I'll do, I have some suggestions on some words and some language, some phrases that you can use to begin a presentation, because I think it is so, so important. So, whenever you're starting a presentation, you really have to help the audience understand what's in it for them. What are they going to get out of your presentation? If you think about how much we all have to do every day, all of the emails that we get, all of the meetings that we have, just all of the tasks that we have to do, why should that person take time away from all of their other responsibilities and listen to your presentation and listen to what you have to say? So to help them kind of communicate that message and to get them engaged right from the beginning of your presentation, I have 3 different phrases that you can consider using here. So first, and this is my absolute favorite. So by the end of my talk today, by the end of my talk today, you'll have. I absolutely love that phrase because that, and I should give you an example. You could finish that. By the end of my talk today, you'll have a better understanding of something. By the end of my talk today, you'll have a plan for, or you'll have, 5 tips to do XYZ. So you're telling the person, what value they're really going to get out of your presentation. So I really love that one. It's very results oriented. And I will say, if you're ever talking to an American audience or presenting to an American audience, I would consider something like that. Yeah, help them understand what the immediate value is going to be. You could also, my second phrase would be something like this. So you're about to learn. You're about to learn. That kind of builds some suspense, doesn't it? You could also say you're about to see, you're about to see, you're about to learn. Again, it's talking to exactly the value that that person is going to get out of your presentation. Yep. And then one more, kind of more of a simpler one. You could just say, today I'm going to show you. Today I'm going to show you. Mhm. So again, just telling them what they can expect from your talk. What are you going to be talking about? Why should they stay and attend? Michael, ja, ich kann Deutsch, ja, aber es ist sehr eingerostet. Somebody asked me if I spoke German, and yes, I do, but I answered, I have not spoken German in so long, almost 20 years, so I'm very rusty, but I just love the language. Absolutely love it. So I hope that answers your question. Let's see. Is it okay to say I'm traveling abroad or I'm traveling overseas? Yeah, both. Are totally fine. Both work. I would say in the US, we'd probably say abroad, maybe a little more often, probably. I always say abroad personally. I don't use the word overseas too often. I would say abroad, but both are totally correct. Yes. Or I'm going out of the country. You could say that too. I'm leaving the country. I'm going out of the country. Yep. Does anybody know what we say in the US when we are leaving the city that we're in? So we're not really leaving the country. We're not leaving the United States. We're just leaving the particular town or city that we live in. What do we say? Yes, exactly. I see it. Out of town. Yeah. Yep. So I'm going out of town, or I'll be, excuse me, I'll be out of town. Hmm. Very good. Yeah. As some of you know, I used to live and work in the UK as well. I've lived and worked in a lot of different European countries, but I used to live in the work and work in the UK in London, and I don't recall people saying that over there. I could be wrong, but I believe that is pretty much an American expression. But correct me if I'm wrong. Okay. Another question here. Hi, guys. Is this very informal in business environment, or is it informal maybe only in the UK? Hi, guys is informal, absolutely. But it is also very often used in business environments, for sure. And I think that's also probably more common in the US. Hi, guys. So you can absolutely say hi, guys, with people that you have good working relationships with, people on your close team. We all have friends at work, right? So, more of your friends at work. In an informal business environment, you can absolutely say hi, guys, hey, guys. You'll hear that all the time. Yep. Mm-hmm. Another one, but this town does not necessarily mean hometown. You're right. No, it does not mean necessarily mean your hometown. It's really talking about the place that you live, the place that you're based, the city, the town, where you live, where you're based. That's what that refers to. Yep. Okay. Free and for free mean the same thing. That kind of depends on the context that you're talking about. If you're talking about a price, how much something costs, then yes, I'll get this for free. I got it free. I'll give you this free. I'll give you this for free. Conversationally, you'll hear it both ways if you're talking about a price. But the word free doesn't always just mean, it's not always just about prices and costs, right? It also has the meaning with the word freedom. I am free. So in that case, for free and free are not the same thing. If you're talking about freedom and liberty, it's just with price in that context. Yep. Some of you guys, I see some questions asking about, how long or how often I do these sessions, if there's a schedule or whatnot. There isn't a schedule right now. So far, I've just been kind of doing this as my schedule allows. I've just been doing these spontaneously. I haven't announced them in advance or anything like that. I hope to be able to schedule them in the future. I just have a whole lot of super cool, exciting projects going on right now. So my schedule is a little weird. Yeah, so for now, they're just going to be kind of spontaneous. But in the future, when I hopefully can schedule them, I'll let you all know. I usually post things on my community tab on my YouTube channel. You'll see the community tab if you haven't already. So I will be announcing those kinds of things there. So feel free to take a look. Cool. Let's see. Rodrigo, hello. Rodrigo is using a great business English idiom. If you guys read his comment there in the chat, he's saying he can't stay on here for too long. Otherwise, he's going to be in hot water. Anybody know what that means? If I'm in hot water, am I in a comfortable situation? Am I pretty laid back and feeling good and free, or not? To be in hot water. What does that mean? Well, I'll tell you. It means that you're going to be in trouble. If you're in hot water, it means you're in trouble. I'll put that here in the chat. In hot water means in trouble. Because I guess depending on how hot the water is, that's not going to be too comfortable, right? So that's what that means. Great idiom. Thanks for sharing that. Do you have private classes for business English? Yes, I do. I have private classes where we really work on conversation to help you guys get more confident, feel more confident and more comfortable speaking English. So we work on vocabulary. I help you expand your vocabulary with better words, better phrases, better expressions, idioms to better express yourself in business English. Also pronunciation. I help you with pronunciation as well. And we talk about topics that are relevant to you and your job. So you can tell me, what exactly you want to work on, and that's what we'll focus on in these sessions. So I'm going to put my website here in the chat. It's english2excel.net. So if you go to my website, you'll see where you'll find some information about my classes and pricing and scheduling and everything like that. So feel free to go check it out. I don't specialize in the IELTS exam. I don't specialize in exam preparation, just so you guys know. My specialty is business English. So that's really what I focus on. I do general English too, but my focus is really helping people communicate better at work in English. So that's really what I specialize in. I can't say that I do exam preparation. No. Okay, guys. I am looking here through the chat, and I just have maybe a few more minutes left but have time for some other questions before I go. Danielle is asking a great question here, going back to our talk about hi guys or hey guys. He's saying guys for man or also for woman. I'm glad that you asked that because that is a good question. So generally speaking, you can kind of just say that to a group of people, mixed men and women. Generally speaking, you can say it to a group of all men. I do say it to groups of all females. Hey guys, it's very casual, conversational. Some people do that. Some people kind of choose to use that phrase just with all men or, mixed groups if there's men in there. It's kind of personal preference. But just be a little careful too, because there are also, not everybody identifies as a man or a woman. So, once you know your coworkers, what people are comfortable with, what people are comfortable being addressed as. So maybe before you use that expression, it's good to just make sure that you understand, you understand your coworkers and you understand what their comfort level is with this kind of language and words and stuff. So just something to keep in mind. Okay. Yeah. Hi, guys and gals. Yep. Some people say that as well. Very, very good. Yes. All right. I am still. Oh, someone's asking, is this live saved? Yep. These lives are all saved. If you go to my channel, to my YouTube channel, there's a special tab for live that you can find these replays at. Excellent. I think maybe just before we go, I'm thinking back to another frequently asked question that I get a lot, and that's really how to address emails, how to start an email, your email greeting. There are some variations with that, culturally speaking. First of all, this word right here. Let's talk about this word right here. So dear I'd say it's a more formal way to address an email. So dear, Mr. Smith, dear Ms. Smith, you could use the last name or the person's first name, dear John, dear Mariana. So you can use dear with a person's first name or last name. That's a little more formal. It's always safe, though, to use. If you don't know the person that you're emailing, if you don't know the person you're writing to, or you're just not really sure about how formal to be, if you don't really know the level of formality, the word dear is always safe. So keep that in mind. If you're addressing somebody in the US, if you're writing to them, or if you're writing to somebody who works for your company, you'll also just see people say, hi or hello with the person's first name. So hi, hello, person's first name, and then comma. So that's probably more common in the US. For we Americans, dear, I think, is definitely more on the formal side. Or you could maybe say good morning to the person you're writing to, good morning, maybe. To whom it may concern. To whom it may concern is very, 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 very formal. And it's not used very often. I would never put that in an email to somebody at your company. So even if it's somebody at your company that you've never met, don't do that. It is very impersonal. It's very impersonal. It's really just used kind of more in customer service contexts. So let's say, you need to contact an airline about your airfare, your flight, or you need to contact, your internet provider, your internet provider about your service. You could maybe use it then. But I don't use it with working situations or colleagues or anything like that. And because it is so formal and impersonal, even in customer service situations, I always choose to use the word team. So for example, some of you may be familiar with Lufthansa, the big airline, the big German airline. I would maybe say something like, dear Lufthansa team, for example. Your Lufthansa team. That's much more just a little warmer and a little friendlier and a little more personal, than "To whom it may concern." Good. Okay, guys. All right. Well, I'm looking at the time here, you all, and this has been such a fab session. It's been fantastic. Was so glad to see you guys and interact with you guys a little bit. But I do need to go, unfortunately. But thank you so much for joining. Again, as I said, this live will be it's available on my channel under the live button, so you guys can replay it and go through the comments in the chat and everything. So it's always there for you. All right, guys, hope you found this helpful. Thanks again for coming. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, evening, and weekend. All right, see you next time.